guys, welcome back to my channel. I have got a fun video in store for you guys today. We are going to be putting on a full face of makeup using some products that have been severely neglected by me. I went through my collection with a basket in hand and I picked out some products that I have not used for a very long time, and these are products that I really have loved in the past. One of them I'm uncertain about, but we're going to try it in a new way. Should be a lot of fun. There's some great products in here. Before we jump into the video, I want to give a special welcome to anyone that is new here. Maybe you stumbled across my channel after going down the YouTube rabbit hole. Happy to have you here. I hope you enjoy this video. I hope that you'll consider subscribing if you do, and give the video a big thumbs up. And with that said, we've got a full face of makeup to put on today, so let's get to it. All right, you guys, I'm gonna apologize for my lighting. I waited till like late afternoon. We're at 4 o'clock. I think the sun sets in 2 more hours and I'm out of natural light. So this is pretty much all artificial lighting. We're just gonna go with it. Let's kick things off with the primer. So this is one of the first primers that I recommended here on my channel. This was back when I really was not into primers, using or trying them very often. I've actually since discovered some more that I might even like better than this one, but I wanted to give this one another go. It is the Garnier Glow Boost Illuminating Moisturizer. Maybe you've been with me for a couple of years. You probably remember me talking about this. It is a really good one. It's nice and hydrating. It's subtly glowy. I'd call it just more of like a moisturizer though. It has a really nice lightweight feel to it. It has a really soft, almost citrusy kind of scent. Oh yes, that does feel really nice. I forgot about this one. It's been a while since I've used it. I don't think I've used this primer for a good 6 months or so. All right, let's go in with foundation next. So this is the one that I was kind of on the fence about. I have 2 different foundations I want to mix together today. This one right here is from Flower Beauty. It's the Get Real Serum Foundation. I actually didn't like this when I tried it on its own. I thought it was a little bit too thin, too oily, too liquidy. But I heard one of you mention that you love this as a mix-in with other foundations. So I thought we could mix it in with another foundation that I love, but I think can lean a little bit heavy on me. And I am talking about the HD Liquid Coverage Foundation by Catrice. So let's try and combine these two today. I have the shades 10 Light Beige in the Catrice and the shade Nude L3 in the Flower Beauty. So I think I'm going to try and mix these maybe like 50-50. This one is quite light. I mean, that's going to be way too light for me. Actually, I'm going to do about 2.5 pumps of the Flower Beauty. This probably is too much foundation that I've now applied on the back of my hand, and I actually still think it's going to be a little bit too light. Okay. Let's make one more quick adjustment. I'm going to mix 2 drops of my e.l.f. shade adjuster into this just to try and get the shade match right. Really don't like when my foundation shade is off by much. Now we're looking closer. Oh, that is a lot of foundation. I will be using a sponge today, so that should help with taking off any excess product. I'll probably end up just wiping most of the rest of this onto a cotton pad. And to blend this today, I'm using this Wet n Wild Beauty Sponge. I've had this one for a while. I have 2 of these now. I have a new one that I opened recently. The new one doesn't feel exactly like this one. This one I absolutely love. It feels very bouncy and smooth. It doesn't have like a textured feeling. I don't like sponges that feel kind of gritty or textury. They feel spongy. Okay guys, I am kind of loving the finish of this right now. I think that's a really nice little combination. I'm gonna keep playing with it because I think that's a great way to use this. I almost decluttered this and then I heard one of you say that and I decided to keep it around and give it a try. Very happy that I did. This looks really great. Before I jump into concealer, I want to add just a little bit of eyeshadow primer. I have this one here from Profusion. This is the No Budge eyeshadow primer. I'm just gonna add a little bit of this to my eyelids before we put some concealer on. Okay, concealer. I grabbed the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer. This is an OG makeup product. I was reminded of this product when I recently tried out the new 4-in-1 Perfector from Maybelline and decided I would pull this back out because it's been a little while since I've used this one. It is one of my favorite concealers from the drugstore though. It's super lightweight, probably one of my most lightweight, almost undetectable concealers that still has good coverage. And by the way, I use the shade Neutralizer. Hopefully it's not too light on me. This is more of a winter shade for me, but it's okay. We've got a good bronzer today to help me out. All right, skin is looking nice. We're going to move on to the cheeks, and I have one product, one palette that we're going to be using today. This is the one that inspired this video when I pulled it out just this morning, actually. It is the Smashbox Cali Contour Kit. This is so good. I used this bronzer this morning. I was kind of just playing around and was reminded of why this was so raved about here on YouTube. And even though this is something I really enjoy, I've enjoyed it since I first tried it out a couple of years ago, I don't feel like I give this as much use as I probably should. So we're gonna try and make up for that a bit today. Let's start with a little bit of the powder right here. I just want to powder my forehead because that Flower Beauty foundation is quite dewy. I have a feeling it will probably settle into my forehead lines pretty severely if I don't powder it a bit. I'm going to take just a little bit on my eyelids before they crease. Now for bronzer, there's these two matte shades up here, and this one has a bit of a satin finish to it. We're going to mix all three together. A touch of this one, a touch of this one, and a touch of this one. And then start to tap that onto my cheeks. Look at that, you guys. I mean, seriously, one little tap. Okay, that was more than one, but you know what I mean. It was very, very quick. I mean, that literally, I just tapped it on a few times and it's perfectly blended. Such a good formula and shade. Blends like a dream, and it does look, it's like the perfect shade. It just makes you look naturally bronzed and sun-kissed. I love a bronzer that just goes on really, really quickly and blends out with no effort at all. Okay. There we have the bronzer. I'm going to also use the blush and the highlight inside here. I like them. They're not like major standouts to me, but again, this is such a good functional palette. It's not one I get excited to use, but every time I use it, I'm like, wow, that worked so well. Why do I not use this more than I do? So let's grab a bit of the blush. I have my Rephr number 5 brush right here. I love this brush for blushes. It works really, really well. And just dust that on my cheeks. Easy peasy. Now let's add a little bit of the highlighter. This highlighter, looking at it in the pan, I always think that's going to be too dark for me, but it's actually not. It works really well for my skin tone, and it's actually pretty intense, which I really love. Okay, big win. Love this thing. I'm going to leave it out. Maybe I'll pull it into my Shop My Stash. I am due to do a Shop My Stash in the next couple weeks, so I'll have to keep that one out so I don't forget about it again. Let's jump into the eyebrows next. So I have this product right here. This is the Essence Make Me Brow. This is such a good tinted brow gel. I've had it for a very long time, and when I first tried it, I was such a novice at brows back then. Not that I am an expert now, but I've gotten to know my brows a little better and kind of what type of products I like to work with and how to work with them. And I feel like I get along a little better with tinted brow gels than I did couple of years ago. So before I apply that, I do want to add a little bit of this. This is the BH Cosmetics brow pencil. I think these have been discontinued, which is unfortunate because this is actually a really good slim brow pencil. I'm just going to apply a little bit here on the underside where I have some sparseness, and then right through the arch. And then we're going to take the Make Me Brow, just run it through. By the way, the shade, in case you're wondering, oh, I hope it hasn't worn off. I have 03 Soft Brownie Brows, which might be a hair dark for me, but that's okay. We're going to do a pretty smoky eye today. Okay, jumping into eyeshadow palette. The palette that I picked out, there were so many. There are always so many palettes that are neglected because I just have so many and it's so very hard for me to part with them. But the one that I picked for today is the Lorac Pro 2 palette. I have 3 of these. I have the 1, 2, and the 3. I love them all. I think they're really great. The formulas are really nice. It's been a while since I have pulled out my Lorac palette. So we're going to do it today. This one I really love for its smokiness. So we're going to do a smoky eye with this one today. I'm actually not 100% sure what I want to do. I was kind of thinking navy, but then I do really love this green right here, which goes on a lot darker than it looks in the pan. We'll see. I'm just gonna jump in. I'm gonna start off with this shade right here, which is light brown. Very uncreative names, Lorac. I always appreciate a good creative, fun, kind of punny name. So these are very, very boring, the names of their eyeshadows, but they're very accurate. I'll give them that. And by the way, these shadows are just so easy to blend. Very pretty cool tone brown. I'm going to use that same shade, and taking my Rephr number 2 brush, we are going to pop that on the lower lash line. Just about halfway across. This color goes on a lot darker than it looks in the pan. I'm using this color right here, but it almost looks like that color right there because it's pretty dark. Okay, what do we want to do next? That's already looking pretty smoky, and I've only gone in with this shade so far, so man, wait till I get down here. Let's start off with the green. Let's take the shade Jade. I'm going to take that on the Rephr number 21 brush. You guys, Look how dark that is. I don't know if you can tell, but I mean, this is a very, very smoky, dark green. I'm just going to tap this on the outer third of my lid, and then we'll kind of blend it inwards, but I want to really place most of this down just on this outside because it's very, very dark, so we're going to be very careful about blending this in. Okay, I know that looks a little crazy, a little messy right now, but no fear, we're going to blend it out. Let's take my number 13 brush from Rephr, and I'm just very lightly, there's nothing on here, I'm just going around these edges of the green. I'm kind of going to feather it in here on this front edge to pull some of that pigment across that halfway mark of my lid, and then we'll kind of overlap that with something else. Okay, that is super pretty. I feel like the green is very, very subtle. I mean, you can barely see it when I close my eyes. It has much more of a charcoaly undertone to it, but it is super pretty. Very, very smoky, but very pretty. Just taking what's left on this brush, very lightly running it under this very outermost corner just to straighten out this little edge right there. Kind of fix that shape. And back to that original brush, I'm ever so lightly just going around the outermost edge to make sure there are no harsh lines. So, so pretty. Now let's go in with this shade right here. This is the shade Rosé. It's just a good, slightly pink champagne. Really good neutral shade. I feel like this will go with this color really well. We're going to run that across the inner half of the lid and then lightly overlap it at the halfway mark, and then we'll work on blending or tapping this outer corner together to make sure everything's nice and blended. That's a pretty combination though. I love like the charcoal undertone, the little bit of green, and this kind of champagne peachy gold. Just taking a clean finger and dabbing, let's wipe that off, this outer edge right here. Kind of get some of that depth from underneath to resurface. Might dip a tiny, tiny bit into that green again and just place that again on this outer most part of my lid and pull it in over that champagne just to bring back some of that depth. Okay, there we have it. Now let's take a little bit. Ooh, should we take the white on the inner corner? Let's just take the tiniest bit of that bright white. We're going to take the Rephr number 3 brush. This is one of my favorite Rephr brushes, especially if you're someone that likes a very, very precisely placed inner corner highlight, which I do like. Sometimes I use my finger just mostly because I'm lazy, and it can get looking pretty out of hand, like very unnatural. So if you like something more of like a pinpoint, this is the perfect inner corner brush. So that's going to just about do it for the eyes. Instead of using a pencil liner today, I'm just going to use a little bit of this black right here. We're going to take that on the Rephr number 2 brush. This is kind of a small smudge brush right here. And take a tiny pop on the tip of this black, which I'm imagining is going to be extremely pigmented. So we're just going to place this right at the lash line. Very lightly pull it outwards. This step is optional. It's plenty smoky beforehand, but I really want to try this black. It's not something I do super often. That looks pretty good. Okay, let's add a little bit of mascara. So the mascara that I've neglected, sadly, is the Tony Moly mascara with the green lid. I've been trying out a lot of new mascaras over the last several months, and this one I have not pulled for a while, and it is one of my favorites, as you will know if you've been watching me for the last 6 months or so. So I'm going to pop on a couple coats of this, then I will be back. We'll finish off with the lips, and we will be all done. All right, you guys, eyes are finished. Very nice, very, very smoky. I mean, look at that. That is some seriously smoky shadow. That is crazy that that level of depth really just came from this green right here. Great little palette. Pull this thing out if you happen to have it floating around your collection. Now we're going to move on to the lips. I have here my LA Girl Ultimate Intense Wear Auto Liner. It was lost in my purse. I finally found it in like a zipper pocket in the middle that I never really reach into. But this pencil, which by the way is in the shade Nonstop Nude, I think this is one of the best lip liners at the drugstore. So we're going to add a little bit of this. Let me wipe a lot of foundation on my lips, so let's just get those all clean, and then I will overline just slightly in the center. Add a little bit to the middle as well, because the lipstick that we're putting on top is pretty light. Yeah, so I have here the Maybelline lipstick in the shade 920 Nude Lust. I'm going to add a good amount of this, and hopefully will tone down the color on my lips. Okay, now I'm just going to kind of go back and forth with my finger. I want those two colors to really melt together. And now we're going to add just a bit of gloss. I have my Milani Keep It Full lip gloss. I have the shade Luminoso. This gloss I really, really loved, and I got all mad about it. I threw a little fit here on my channel about how little product is inside this very large tube, and it must have soured me a little bit to it because I ended up putting it in my drawer and forgetting about it, but it is a good gloss. Really nice and sparkly, very, very slightly sticky, but not uncomfortable. And one more thing, let's add a little bit of setting spray. I have my L'Oreal Shake and Glow Dewy Mist. Let's add just a little bit of this. Oh, it's been a while. There we go. Best smelling setting spray that I've ever smelled, and I've smelled some good ones. Alright you guys, and that is it. This is the finished makeup look using a full face of makeup that has been neglected by me. What did you guys think of these products? Maybe you own them, maybe you don't, maybe you use them every day, or maybe you have forgotten about them as well. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that you guys are doing well. One last reminder before I sign off, if you have not yet subscribed, I hope that you'll consider doing that before you leave, but that is all I have for you guys. Thanks again. I will see you all in my next video. Bye.